Dean Arnold.
All right, welcome to the Dean Arnold podcast. It is June 18th, and we should have a good time today talking about 666, or maybe it's 666, the number of the beast. Last time we talked about the mark of the beast and what the mark is and its symbolic nature. It's probably not literally about a mark on your forehead and hand or a chip in your hand that keeps you from buying and selling. Although that could happen, probably has happened in the past, and tyrants are always trying to control things. But I don't think that's what it's talking about in Revelation chapter 13. And here we're going to talk about related to it, which is the number of the beast, which is 666. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned in the Mark of the Beast podcast who the beast is or what the beast is. The beast is generally the Roman Empire, and I think I'm going to do a separate podcast on the beast, beastliness, who the beast is, and why. There's actually two beasts in Revelation: the land beast and the sea beast, and we can get into that. But that's what we're going to talk about today, and it should be very interesting. Meanwhile, let's go to the scripture of the day. And on the calendar, I think I've got it queued up. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Romans chapter 8, 22 through 27. Not going to read the whole thing. Going to scroll down to the last two verses, which are kind of intriguing. I don't have a lot of commentary, but it's just a very mysterious kind of passage. Likewise, the Spirit also helps us in our weaknesses, for we do not know what we should pray for as we ought, how we should pray as we ought, but the Spirit himself makes intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Now he who searches the heart knows what the mind of the Spirit is, because he makes intercession for the saints according to the will of God. All right, that's some deep and crazy stuff. What is that about? I am really honestly not exactly sure. Charismatics will say it's a prayer language, speaking in tongues. Orthodox monastics, many will say it's the Jesus Spirit, Hezekiah praying over and over again, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. It could be both of those. It could be neither of those. But the Spirit is making intercession with groanings which cannot be uttered. Crazy. Next verse. And now he who searches the hearts knows what the mind of the Spirit is. Okay, and just, it's related to all this, but he who searches the hearts. So God searches the hearts, and that's a fearful thing. And people are getting away from a final judgment and a day of judgment, and the fact that there's a God who searches the hearts and knows all things and will bring everything to account. And this is another reminder of that. Keep that in mind, because not a whole lot makes sense without that. But anyway, there you go. Gospel of the day, Matthew 10, 23 through 31. He's still sending out his disciples to the various towns in Israel. And he says, whatever I tell you in the dark, speak in the light. And what you hear in the ear, preach on the housetops. So whatever you say in the dark, just like God knows everything and everything, all your deeds and that you try to keep secret, whatever you say in the dark, it's going to be spoken up spoken in the light. It's going to be preached on the housetops. So try to do the right thing, whether someone's watching or not, because God's always watching and he's going to bring it all to the light. It's all fearful stuff. Next verse explains why. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. But rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. All right. We do these saints stories every day. You got these guys getting tortured and their eyes poked out and tongues pulled out and beheaded and, all sorts of stuff. And this is why they're doing it, because they fear more than that. They fear the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. So our eternal soul and our eternal body, the eternity of our body and its state, is much more important than these temporary sufferings, which, if I had to do that kind of suffering, I don't know how I'd do. I pray God give me strength. But that's what it's all about. And if it wasn't true, then a lot of life wouldn't make sense, because some people get dealt a pretty bad hand and some people get dealt a much better hand. It's likely that I'm not going to be boiled in hot oil and have my eyes gouged out and be raked over a stretcher and have that kind of torture. I might, but likely not. And so why do I not get that? But some poor schmuck in the 2nd century got it. Well, first of all, because Paul talks about getting a better resurrection. We talked about that a few days ago, but we don't want the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell to judge us in a bad way. We want him to judge us in a good way. All right. Saint of the day. I'm going to make it kind of simple, because we've got a lot to talk about with the 666. St. Paul, physician of Corinth. This is the saint of the day. Very simple guy. In his youth, he took a monastic vow, and he toiled much and became an experienced ascetic. Once Paul, through demonic malice, was slandered by a woman. Ooh, look what I did. I'm on the wrong day. I thought that looked a little bit weird. I need to go to the 18th. I'm looking forward to that saint story on the 18th. But today we're going to talk about something much more simple, which is Venerable Leontius of the Kiev Far Caves. Remember Kiev? Ancient Christian, Orthodox Christian stronghold. Lots of godly people and saints and monasteries. Right now they're getting burned down. Pray for them. Saint Leontius. He entered the Kiev Caves Monastery, a very famous monastery. He was tonsured there as a monk. He was endowed with a fine voice. And when he learned his letters, he fulfilled the obedience of canonarch, which is the leader of church singing. Which that's kind of fun. I've spent many years as leader of church singing. I'm glad we can honor Saint Leontius today, who was a leader of church singing. He died at a young age in the 14th century. He was glorified by the Lord for his selfless deeds with the gift of miracles. And his relics are located in the Far Caves at that monastery. So there you go. Venerable Leontius of the Kiev Far Caves. All right, let's get out of that. Let's get into the big subject, which is 666. All right, 666. You hear it all the time. People have various theories for what it is. And one time it was the barcodes, and 666 was the number of a resolution for related to COVID-19, I think. And there's other theories as to what it might be today. I don't think any of that is very solid. Well, there's always nebulous stuff. I mean, you never know. But the actual far fulfillment of 666 is a long way away, and I don't think we have any clue what it is. But we do know the near fulfillment, which is in the 1st century, which is the ongoing theme of me talking about eschatology, last days, etc. I haven't said all my prefatory stuff yet. I'm running for Congress. Vote for me November 3rd, and give to my campaign, DeanArnoldForCongress.com. And if you see today, the logo is in the bottom right. It used to be in the top left, and I changed it. I saw an old podcast, and I kind of liked it better not near my head. So if you have an opinion on that, please weigh in. I am taking comments as usual. You can do YouTube live chats. We got a comment. The comment is, hello. That's about all I can tell. Hello. I remember you commenting previously, so and wanting to know when the live stream was. So thank you for that. All right. I'm bringing sanity to an insane world with this congressional campaign and with this podcast. And today's June 18th. Use the live chat in YouTube to make a comment, or any of the live streaming platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, to ask questions or give comments. All right, I think I've said all my stuff now. Back to 666. What is it? What does it mean? What is it all about? It actually, the referent, even though Rome is the referent for the beast, and the number of the beast is 666, it's really not ultimately the number for Rome. It's actually ultimately the number for it's best represented by a particular man. Let's put it that way. And we'll get to that. And it's not who you think. It's not who you think. You think it's Nero? No, it's not Nero. You think it's Adolf Hitler, Henry Kissinger, Donald Trump? None of that. Some people used to say that Kissinger was the Antichrist because I think it's L is Henry Kissinger. The 11th letter, I forget, maybe it's a G, and forget it, I can't remember, but there's ways to calculate it from a Henry Kissinger. We won't do that. But the number 6 itself, let's start with that. 6 is, in the creation days, is the day that man was created. So man has always been associated with 6. And we see in that passage about the number of the beast that it is the number of man. A lot of translations, or some, say a man, but that's not what it says in the Bible. It says man. There's a word for man as not a woman, a man, and then there's a word for mankind, and this word in the Greek is mankind, and 666 is the number of mankind. Very clear in the Greek. It's not a man. So that we don't necessarily need to be looking around the horizon looking for who's the man who is going to become the Antichrist. Has he been born yet? Is he coming from the tribe of Dan? A lot of people will say that for some reason. No. But 6 is the day man was created. And all this comes from the commentary I did on Revelation by James Jordan. So a lot of this is Jordan. He gets credit. 6 is moving to 7. Mankind was supposed to improve and go from being a priest to a king, but Adam failed, so we didn't get there. So instead of going from 6 to 7, it was like 6, and then 6 again, and then 6 again, 666. When you do the calculator, sometimes you'll come up with this thing. It's like 0.6666666. That's kind of funky. But anyway, and then Jordan points out that the giants in the Bible are very much associated with 6. And you got this beast, which is like a giant beast, very beastly. And he's in Revelation 13, or symbolic of Rome and whatever. The giants in the Bible, Goliath, it says that his spear weighed 600 shekels. So there's the 6. It says that he was 6 cubits tall and a span. A span is your hand, which is about 6 inches. So 6 cubits and 6 inches. A lot of 6s there. Then in those same passages where it talks about that, there's a mention of another giant who's kind of related to Goliath. And he had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. A lot of 6s going on with the giants. And Jordan points out that David had to go up and kill giants in Jerusalem before he took Jerusalem. He was the first person to take Jerusalem, and he turned it into the capital of Israel, obviously. And So Jordan says, in order to have the New Jerusalem, in order to build the New Jerusalem, you have to kill the giants. And what did Jesus do? Who was the beast? The beast was Rome. And what did Jesus do? In quite a marathon of a contest, 300 years after Jesus, the Roman Empire becomes Christian. Yes, and continues to be Christian for 1,000 years. How about that for a last word? But Jesus did that. He killed the giants first. He killed them by having them kill him, which is all pretty interesting. So yeah. Moving on in the Old Testament, Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar, if you recall, you Bible people, he kind of went mad and insane, and he was running around the backyard for 7 years like a nut, and had completely lost all consciousness or sanity. And his fingernails grew out, and he grew long hair, and I think it even says he had scales on his skin or something. But anyway, he was very beastly. He became very beastly, Nebuchadnezzar. And then when he comes to, or maybe it was before he came to, he built this famously Donald Trump-like golden statue for people to worship. And it was 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide. So 6 and 6. So Nebuchadnezzar had this 66 thing going on. And so we can just ponder that for a bit. And then, but we moved to 666. Now, what is 666? Well, it's the kind of the ultimate humanity in his badness and his beastliness, but coming from the great heights and falling down to the great lows. We'll talk about that in a minute. Is 666 Nero? Well, the answer is no. Very close nomination. Enough that he was worthy of some discussion. Nero is the 6th Caesar, and he was around in the 60s, 80s, 60s, before 80, 70, when Jerusalem was destroyed and the temple was destroyed. And that was the end of the old world, and so much is related to all that. I got a big rainstorm coming down in my external cigar lounge, which is also a garage, which has kind of a metal roof. So you might hear a little bit of that. Fear not. We'll just forge right ahead. So Nero was famous for being corrupt and horrible and terrible and killing Christians and killing Jews and persecuting and dressing up like a woman and having like public affairs and marrying another man. And then I think he married a horse. I mean, this guy, he was pretty bad, Nero. And some people would say, well, this is the Antichrist. This is 666. Because if you add up Nero Caesar in Hebrew letters, because Hebrew letters, like Latin letters, have a numerical value. If you add all that up, it comes to 666. Well, not quite. It actually comes up to 616. There is one manuscript that says Neron Caesar, and that adds up to 666. But there's some great scholars that I follow that I quote heavily from in the Revelation commentary that I edited that are very, very sharp. And they hold to the Nero 666 thing, but there's just not enough. Out of all the manuscript, there's only one. The rest of them add up to 616. So it's not Nero, but it's close. So what does 666 mean? What person is it talking about? And like a lot of things, we want to go back to the Bible to try to find the answer. We can figure out who the beast is by looking at all the beast themes in the Bible. We can figure out what 6 is by looking at all the examples of 6 in the Bible. But what about 666? Is there an example of 666 in the Bible? Well, as it turns out, there's one, only one. And therefore, as Jordan says, we should probably pay pretty close attention to this. And he always notes that, like the Bibles with the footnotes and stuff, they never bring this up, but they should, because it's the only other time where 666 appears in the Bible. Do you know where it is? Probably not. Some of you Sharpies might know. 1 Kings 10. Solomon. Okay, leading up to 1 Kings 10, he's judging wisely. He's got the two prostitutes and the baby that he threatens to cut down in the middle, and he finds out who the true mother is, and he's vindicating his father David, and he's continuing to do good things and good things. Finally, the Queen of Sheba visits him from far away, so Israel is being a light to the nations like it was called to be. Solomon, of course, is the wisest person on earth, and he's written all these books of the Bible, particularly in the wisdom literature, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. So Solomon is just on the rise, wisest man who ever lived. Queen of Sheba comes and visits him and learns all sorts of things. She leaves. That's the top part. Is that zenith? Is the word we're looking for? And then the next verse says, every year, 666 talents of gold came into the kingdom for Solomon. They went to Solomon's palace. It's like $5 billion worth of gold every year. And at that point, Solomon goes down. And he doesn't just go down. He goes down, 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 down. Civil war, oppressing his workers, causing all sorts of problems, adding horses, which are like today would be like tanks or airplanes, fighters, or aircraft carriers, or nuclear warheads, adding horses to his army, adding gold to his treasury. Both those things are prohibited for kings in the Old Testament law, and particularly the last one, do not multiply women. Don't have more than one wife. And Solomon big time violated that one, and that was his downfall. And because he married these foreign wives, these hot chicks that he couldn't resist, he starts worshiping their gods, the gods of Moab and the gods of Ammon. And these are the Molech worshiping, Baal worshiping, Old Testament gods, child sacrificing, child eating gods that you're hearing being talked about today. I mean, it's all in the news. People talking about Molech, and yeah, Solomon did all that. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Well, so 666 is the zenith, and zoom down we go. And so Jordan says that we can deduce from this that 666 is the ultimate apostasy. It's not just that this king was bad and was sacrificing his children, like the kings of Ammon and the kings of Molech. They're not 666. It's how far you fall from the light. You've been given all this light. You've been given all this understanding. You're the wisest man who ever lived, and then you fall down to these horrible, terrible, decadent places. Well, that's just the ultimate terrible betrayal, and it's 666. It represents that. And when we talk about who the beast is in Rome, we can talk about some of the betrayal and apostasy that the Roman Empire did. You know, it was really a great republic that the founding fathers modeled themselves after, and then it turned to this tyrannical dictatorship with Julius Caesar and that sort of thing. But so it has a 666 quality to it, but it really refers back to Solomon, who was the ultimate representation of 666. So that's what we have for 666. Is it going to be a chip on your hand with 666 encoded in it? Probably not. Is it going to remind us of Solomon and Israel and its great apostasy and how it used to be very godly and now it's very, 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 very not godly. I think it's going to do that. And that's a good thing for us to use 666 to do to remind us of what's going on in the world today. Indeed, indeed. Oh, there's a lot more to talk about, but I think I'm going to leave it there. Well, one more thing. Jordan mentions that Jesus also has a number, while the Antichrist or the beast or ultimately sinful man has the number of 666. He says that God also has a number. Jesus has a number. And if you read the commentary, I suggest you buy it and read it. That number is probably 8 or 888 for various reasons. But we're getting into number stuff, which is kind of cool. But I think I'm done for the day. I'm running for Congress. My name is Dean Arnold. I've got a podcast here. Go to DeanArnoldForCongress.com to give to my campaign. Share this, subscribe, and we'll have some fun here. Okay, we got a comment. I don't think you have your super chats enabled. I was going to send you a couple bucks. Well, thank you, darn it. I will. I'll work on that and see if I can get that done for tomorrow. And I'm not sure what time I'm live streaming tomorrow. I'll send out a post like I did today, and we see if we can do super chats. Never gotten a super chat. That will be fun. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're good. So, I didn't hit the show comments on stage, and it didn't matter because it worked anyway. I'll be dang on it. Let me know, Mrs. Chetta, if that was live chats that you were using, or was it just regular comments in YouTube? Because I forgot to hit the button that allows for live chats. I'll hit it right now and see if somebody comes in last minute, because I kind of messed up on that. But thank you for all those comments. Let's go ahead and head out. That is wrong. Stop that. There we go. Dean Arnold.